Hi, I am Dr. P.K. Misra, consultant urologist. In this short video, I am going to discuss about the various dietary advices that we offer to the kidney stone patients. Kidney stone is a very common disease and far more worrying that the incidence of the kidney stones is on rise. If you believe the Western statistics, as high as 8 to 9% of the populations are affected by the stone disease. So, so we have succeeded in a large way in treating the stone diseases by various endosurgical procedures. Success of the endourological procedures like PCNL, RIRS, and URS is well known. But the neglected aspect of the treatment is efforts to prevent the recurrence of the stone. And this recurrence of the stone disease is a very common phenomenon, and it occurs in as high as 50% of the patients in a 7 to 10 years follow-up. So to prevent this recurrence of the stone disease, we have got two means. One is a certain dietary modifications that we advise to the patients, which if prudently followed can lead to a decrease in the incidence of the recurrence. And others are some medications which you have to use in specific situations. So today I will like to discuss in details about the various dietary advices that we need to offer to our patients to prevent the recurrence. So first let's try to understand what are the dietary risk factors which can be a cause for the occurrence of the stone. So the dietary risk factors are enumerated here. One is the lower fluid intake, lower dietary calcium, high oxalate in the diet, high sodium in the diet, high sucrose and fructose in the diet, and higher consumption of the vitamin C and lower consumptions of dietary phytates. So these are some of the dietary risk factors that is well known to cause stones, and our effort is to give advice so that these risk factors are mitigated in the patient's diet. So most important of these advices is to increase the water and fluid intakes. And how much we have to increase, what is the objectives, and why this is important, I will be discussing in a short while. If you take this simple experiment of adding some salt, say like common salt or maybe sugar to the water, what happens? We find this gets dissolved in the water, and what it results is an unsaturated solutions. But if you keep on adding more and more of the salts, a point arises where no more solutes can dissolve, and this is called as saturated solutions. And if you still continue to add more and more salts, the solution becomes unstable, and it is described as a supersaturated solution where it is likely to precipitate. And similarly, in the urine there are several salts, and if the salt amount keeps on increasing, we find a supersaturated solution which is more prone to crystallizations and stone formations. So our objective of increasing more water and fluid in the diet is to prevent supersaturations in the urine. So the idea is to produce an urine amount which should exceed 2 liters in 24 hours. 2.5 liters of urine in 24 hours should be the target of the patients. And if increase in the urine output also decreases the transit times, so that the crystals do not find time to settle in the urinary systems and to aggregate and form stones. And that's why increased fluid intake is of paramount importance. And how much of the fluids? The fluids should be that much. At least the urine output should be at least 2 to 2.5 liters a day. And usually we are taking the insensible loss into account. In a standard weather, we should take around 3 to 3.5 liters of urine to produce 2.5 liters of. We should, we should consume 3 to 3.5 liters of water to produce a urine of around 2 to 2.5 liters. If the patient or the stone patient is exposed to more hot and humid weather, and if there is more of perspirations, the fluid intake has to be increased accordingly, so that the objective should to increase the output of the urine to 2.5 liters. And it is also important to spread the intake throughout the day, and a rough guide is to take 2 glasses of water every 2 hours while he is awake. There is often patients ask, what type of water should I take? Tap water. The tap water in my community is my place is contains a lot of iron, contains is very hard. Should I can consume the tap water, or I have to take branded uh, mineral bottled waters, which is might be having a less content of the minerals. But the studies have shown there is no difference between the branded low mineral bottled waters or tap water. So many times the patient says, I cannot drink so much of water, can I take other liquids? So this is the list of the other liquids which can be consumed and which should not be consumed. Tea and coffee is okay, wine is okay, beer is not okay because it has a high oxalate contents which counters the high advantage it gives by forming more urine. But there are some studies which says draught beers is okay because it has a less oxalate contents. Tomato juice is not okay because it has a high salt intake. I will come to that. The salt is a factor in formation of the stones. And the grape juice is not okay. Cranberry juice is not okay. And cola is not okay because of high phosphoric acid contents. But the citrus drinks are okay. The citrus juice like lemon juice, orange juice, melon juice are okay as far as the preventing urolithiasis. The another most important dietary advice is avoid excess consumptions of animal proteins. As you all know, why this is important? Because animal protein increases the acid load and lowers the pH of the urine, and it also decreases the citrate content of the urine, which is a preventer of stone formations. It increases the uric acids excretions, and it is also increases the calcium excretion in the urine. So it is important to restrict animal proteins which are meat, fish, chicken, egg, and cheese. However, low protein diet is not recommended. What we recommend is the consumption of 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight protein. The next important advice is to there should be no restriction of the calcium containing food. There is a contrary to the popular belief in the community and among many physicians, the calcium containing foods form stone. That's not true. Calcium content in the stone in fact prevents calcium content in the diet in fact prevents stone formation. So these common misconceptions should need to be removed from the patient's mind. In fact, why the calcium in the diet prevents stone formations? It by the formation of a chelation of the oxalates in the diet. So if there is more of calcium, there will be less of oxalate in the diet, in the intestines to be absorbed into the bloodstreams, and that helps. And the target calcium should be around 1200 milligrams per day. That is 8 ounces of milk is recommended. And other calcium fortified foods like orange juice, tofu, soya milk, and almonds are also recommended for stone patients. So what about calcium supplements? There are many patients who are on calcium supplements for various reasons. It's better to avoid these calcium supplements in stone patients because there are some studies which shows that it increases the formation of incidence of the stone formations and it is not recommended. But if there is some pressing reasons like osteoporosis, the patient has to take calcium supplements for his medical conditions, then probably the salt of calcium citrate is recommended rather than other salts like calcium carbonates. Then the most important advice is restrict salt intake in the diet. Why? Why salt intake has to be restricted? Because it increases the sodium, it increases the calcium excretion in the urine. If there is an increased sodium excretion in the urine, it also drags rather another calcium ion along with it, and the calcium excretion in the urine is thereby increased. and once the calcium excretion in the urine increases, and there is increased stone release. So one tablespoonful of salt causes almost 23 milligrams increase in the urinary calcium. And the rule of thumb is the rule of 5. Don't consume a product is a labeled product in which sodium is listed in the top 5 of the content lists. And other salt-rich foods are pizzas, canned soups, tomato juice. Uh, Almost all fast foods are salt-rich, and you should instruct the patients to avoid any extra salt in the diet. The next important advice is restriction of the oxalate-rich foods. These are the examples of the oxalate-rich foods like rhubarb, raspberry, nuts and seeds, chocolates, black teas, and potatoes, etc. And this is a general recommendation to avoid these diets, but it should be strictly avoided in the patients who has got hyperoxaluria. Documentation of hyperoxaluria in 24 hours urine if there is excreting more than 45 milligram per day. And oxalate rich foods are considered heart healthy, and that's why it should only be offered to those patients who have got documented hyperoxalurias rather than a blanket advice. Another important advice is to decrease the sucrose and fructose intake in the diet. So the sucrose intake, if increased, it increases the stone formation risk, but the mechanism is not clear. Probably the higher insulin level increases calcium excretion in the urine, but data are conflicting. Another important advice is to avoid vitamin C supplementation. It's not recommended as it metabolizes in the body to form oxalate, and increased oxalate concentration in the urine increases the predisposition to form more stones. Another interesting thing is the person should increase the vitamin B6 consumptions. Why? Because it decreases the urine oxalates, and deficiency of the B6 causes conversion of the glyoxalate into oxalate, which increases its urinary excretions. B6 supplementation decreases oxalate stone formations, especially in oxaluria patients. And the foods rich in B6 are bananas, avocados, soybean, mangoes, and oatmeals. So vitamin B6 need to be increased in the diet. Similarly, there is also an advice to increase the phytate in the diets which are in the nuts and which are in the breads. So higher phytate content in the diet results in decreased incidence of the stone formations, and this was proved by the nurses' health study. So mechanism of in vivo action is not clear, but in vitro phytate increases, phytate inhibits the crystallization of the calcium oxalate. So principal dietary sources are cold cereals, dark beans, and sprouts and lentils. Similarly, there are some studies which says that fish oil consumption is beneficial for beneficial in preventing recurrence of the stones, because it contains a compound called EPA. About 1200 milligram of the fish oils decreases urinary calcium and oxalate excretions and increases citrate excretions, and some more concentration of it is found in cold water fish like salmon and tuna. So friends, what is the standard advice? One is increase water and fluid intake. That is the most important number one advice. Then restrict salt intakes, restrict salt-rich diets, restrict animal protein, but don't give in low protein diets. But it has to be restricted. It should not be in high animal protein diets. Restrict oxalate-rich foods. Moderate dairy products intake is beneficial. Increase phytates in the diet. Avoid vitamin C and calcium supplementations. So most important advice again is increase water intake, fluid intakes, and if it is boring to take so much of fluid, then then you can advise lemon juice and lemonade drinks instead of water. Thank you very much.